Silicon Valley was supposed to fade. That was the prediction. When remote work exploded, people said geography no longer mattered. They said talent would spread out, founders would build from anywhere, and the next trillion-dollar company would not need to be born in Northern California. On paper, that sounded logical. If the internet lets people work from anywhere, why should one expensive, crowded, overhyped region still matter more than the rest? And yet, years later, Silicon Valley is still where the future keeps getting funded, built, and scaled. Not because it is the cheapest place, not because it is the easiest place, and not because every great company lives there. It still matters. Because Silicon Valley is not just a place. It is a machine. A machine built over decades, where talent, capital, research, ambition, and speed keep reinforcing each other so aggressively that the region keeps renewing its advantage, even when the world keeps betting against it. To understand why Silicon Valley still rules, you have to understand what it actually is. Most people think Silicon Valley is just a tech hub. That is too small. A tech hub can be copied. An ecosystem like Silicon Valley cannot. Because Silicon Valley was never just a cluster of offices or a collection of rich companies. It became powerful because it built something much harder to reproduce. A self-sustaining system for turning technical breakthroughs into world-changing businesses. And that system did not begin with apps, social media, or artificial intelligence. It began long before that. Before Silicon Valley became the center of global tech, much of the region was known for orchards, not software. Santa Clara Valley was once a farming region, not the symbolic capital of modern innovation. The change began when one institution helped reshape the region's future. Stanford. What made Stanford so important was not just that it produced smart people. A lot of universities do that. What made it different was that it became deeply connected to industry. Instead of treating scientific knowledge as something that should stay inside classrooms, labs, and academic journals, Stanford helped push it outward into companies, products, and commercial power. That mindset was critical. One of the key figures behind that shift was Frederick Terman. He understood something early that many institutions missed. If talented engineers leave, a region loses its future. So instead of encouraging the best minds to move elsewhere, he pushed them to stay, build, and create companies around the knowledge they were developing. That changed the culture. In many places, top students are trained to find stable careers. Yes, Silicon Valley, generation after generation, was increasingly pushed toward building new things. That one difference matters more than most people realize. Because once a region stops producing only employees and starts producing founders, the entire economic trajectory changes. Then came the semiconductor era, and that is where the real chain reaction began. In the 1950s, William Shockley returned to the area and launched Shockley Semiconductor Laboratory. Shockley was one of the great scientific minds behind the transistor. Bringing that kind of talent into the region could have become a normal success story. Instead, it triggered something even bigger. Shockley was brilliant, but notoriously difficult to work with. His management style pushed away some of his best people, and that led to one of the most important acts of rebellion in modern business history. A group of top employees left and formed Fairchild Semiconductor. That moment changed everything. Because Fairchild did not just become another successful company, it became the seed crystal of an entire industrial ecosystem. Engineers learned there, managers learned there, future founders learned there, investors learned there, and when people left, they did not just disappear. They started new firms, funded new ventures, and carried knowledge into the next wave. That is why Silicon Valley became so powerful. It did not simply produce good companies, it produced people who knew how to build the next company. That difference is enormous. One successful company can make a few people rich, but a region that repeatedly produces founders, engineers, operators, and investors becomes much more than successful. It becomes generative, and that is what Silicon Valley became, a company-making machine. Then another layer locked in its power. Venture capital. Silicon Valley did not invent the idea of investing in risky businesses, but it became the place where high-risk, high-upside startup investing became systematized, refined, and culturally normalized. That matters because most financial systems are built to reward predictability. Silicon Valley built a capital culture that could tolerate uncertainty. In a normal business environment, investors want proof. In Silicon Valley, investors became willing to bet on possibility. That changed everything. Because when founders can raise money based on the scale of a future outcome, not just the size of current profits, they buy something incredibly important. Time. Time to build. Time to hire. Time to experiment. Time to survive early mistakes. Time to scale before the rest of the world catches up. And once a place develops deep pools of capital that understand that game, it becomes very hard to compete with. Because money alone is not the advantage. The real advantage is intelligent money inside a mature network. A founder in Silicon Valley is not just meeting investors. They are entering a system where capital is surrounded by lawyers who understand startup deals, recruiters who understand hypergrowth hiring, operators who have scaled before, engineers who have worked on difficult technical problems, and founders who have already been through the cycle. That reduces friction. And in business, lower friction means speed. This is one of the deepest reasons Silicon Valley still rules. It compresses time. Things that take years in weaker ecosystems can happen in months in the valley because the region has already developed the pattern recognition, trust, and talent density to move faster under uncertainty. That kind of density is almost impossible to fake. You can build office towers. You can launch incubators. You can announce startup incentives. But you cannot manufacture decades of accumulated founder knowledge overnight. And that accumulated knowledge matters because startups are not built from ideas alone. They are built from decisions. Who to hire, what to cut, when to raise, how to pivot, what users actually want, what investors care about, what kills a company at 10 employees, what kills a company at 100, what breaks when growth comes too fast. In Silicon Valley, that knowledge is not abstract. It lives inside the people. That creates another advantage most places struggle to match. Labor mobility. Talent moves. Engineers leave one company and join another. Product leaders become founders. Failed founders become operators. Early employees become angel investors. People carry lessons, networks, and instincts from one company into the next. That movement spreads knowledge through the ecosystem at high speed. Instead of innovation getting trapped inside one firm, it keeps circulating. And over time, that circulation makes the entire region smarter. This is one reason the Valley has been so difficult to dethrone. Its knowledge compounds socially, not just financially. Then there is the cultural layer, which is even harder to export. Silicon Valley normalized ambitious risk, not reckless fantasy, not blind optimism, ambitious risk. In many places, failure can end your credibility. In Silicon Valley, failure is often treated as tuition. If someone tried to build something hard, failed honestly, learned fast, and came back stronger, that is not always a red flag. Sometimes it makes them more credible. That creates more experimentation. More experimentation creates more learning. More learning increases the odds of breakthrough outcomes. And breakthrough outcomes attract even more capital and talent. That is how ecosystems become self-reinforcing. Then the Valley kept proving it could adapt. First semiconductors, then personal computing, then software, then the internet, then search, then social platforms, then mobile, then cloud, and now artificial intelligence. Different eras, same pattern. The specific companies change. The core system remains. That is the real story. Silicon Valley is stronger than any individual company because its deepest asset is not one brand, one founder, or one product category. Its deepest asset is a repeatable process for turning technical change into giant commercial outcomes. That is why even now, in a world of remote work and global talent, the Valley remains central. the AI era actually makes this easier to see. When technology starts moving fast, the most powerful place is usually the one that can mobilize top researchers, engineers, founders, investors, and decision makers quickly. That is exactly the environment Silicon Valley has been training for over decades. It is built for speed under uncertainty, and that is why, when the next big platform shift arrives, the Valley keeps pulling gravity back toward itself, not because no one else is building, not because other cities are weak, and not because geography is the only thing that matters. It keeps winning because it has the densest concentration of the things that matter most when the future is still unclear. Technical talent, risk-tolerant capital, institutional memory, founder experience, and a culture that rewards trying to build something that should not work. Other cities are rising. New York is strong. Austin is growing. London matters. Bangalore is powerful. Tel Aviv, Singapore, and many others are building serious ecosystems. But most of them are competing in pieces. Silicon Valley still dominates in combination. That combination is the moat. Research depth, talent density, founder networks, investor concentration, commercial ambition, and the habit of turning breakthrough technology into companies that reshape the world. That kind of advantage compounds. A successful startup creates wealthy founders. Some become investors. Some become mentors. Some become repeat founders. Employees leave and start new companies. Capital from one win funds the next generation. So the system keeps feeding itself. That is why Silicon Valley keeps surviving predictions of its decline. People often confuse discomfort with collapse. Yes, it is expensive. Yes, it is intense. Yes, it has real problems. And yes, its dominance is challenged more now than before. But being challenged is not the same as being replaced, and so far, no other place has matched the Valley's full stack of advantages at the same scale. That is why Silicon Valley still rules the world. Not because it owns every breakthrough, but because it remains the most efficient machine on Earth for finding out which breakthroughs can become empires. That is the lesson. The Valley is not just a location on a map. It is one of the most powerful feedback loops in modern economic history. And until another place builds a better loop, the world will keep chasing it. If you found this analysis helpful, let us know in the comments. Is there any city you think could actually take the crown from the Valley by 2030? Thanks for watching Venturenomics. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the world of finance and startups. We will see you in the next one.